Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. Your elegant transition into our aesthetics segment for the third week in a row. We were going to do this podcast Thursday night, and through various circumstances, we had to delay that until this morning, Saturday. But that worked out perfectly as huge news came
Oh
out
my.
Friday morning that no
Uh,
one was anticipating that I can
no,
see.
I
I didn't
wasn't.
see that there was a teaser of this announcement or anything, but
No.
the Cleveland Baseball Club announced what their name and what their logos will look like going from this day forward. They will be the Cleveland Guardians. Eh, yeah. That was not only the announcement was a surprise, but the name was a surprise to me, as it seemed like everything was pointing to them becoming the Cleveland Spiders. Of course, this was all speculation, but maybe they were getting that out there just to throw everyone off, as they threw everyone off the scent because no one knew this announcement would be coming. Um, it was almost like a Friday, you hear the classic Friday news dump where they could get news out there where there other things were happening or people weren't paying attention.
Right.
It's almost like they were embarrassed by their own announcement, doing it. No hype, no teaser. Nobody knew this was coming because it is such a boring name, boring set of logos. Not a. There's just Guardians just does not strike me as a compelling name. The reasoning for do it is not compelling to me either. I don't know if you know much about the history of Cleveland. Probably thankfully you don't know much about it, or the geography or the architecture, but apparently this has to do with a couple of statues on some
Yes, on the
fucking
bridge.
bridge, some bridge in Cleveland that has some weird statues. They that have that are called the Guardians of Traffic
That's right.
of all things. I think you tweeted what are they the
The
Guardians
Guardians
of?
of Mediocrity, I believe.
Yeah. Well, that would be more apropos, but somehow the baseball team is named after the Guardians of Traffic of all things. Just okay, whatever. It is the safest name, the safest set of logos you've ever seen. As they are distancing themselves from their past of terribly racist logos with Chief Wahoo. The name Indians had come under meaningful and legitimate scrutiny over the years. Really, the reason they needed to change, and the reason they did change years ago and got rid of the Chief Wahoo logo, is because it was so cartoonishly racist.
Oh
It
yeah.
was
Yeah, no doubt.
um, the name, you could make arguments one way or the other, but it was clear that it needed to go. They were stuck for the last several years with just the words Cleveland across their chest. Um, with just an innocuous block C as their logo on their hats. Just they basically were without a brand for a few years, and they needed to come up with something. I thought Spiders was probably an interesting one, as there's history with the Spiders in Cleveland. It was not the Indians franchise. It was actually a National League team that was defunct, 120 years ago. That was the Spiders, but there was a connection at least. And everyone knows what a spider is. There's some fun things you could do graphically with that. There's no other major sports team that's named the Spiders. They could own that. Instead, they chose to go with the nebulous Guardians. Um, Me as a graphic designer, I was far more interested in their logo set and uniforms that could be associated with this name. If the name is boring, you can still do really cool stuff graphically, at least to play that up and to have fun with it. And their logo set looks like it was done by a high school amateur designer. In my mind, it is the most pedestrian and flawed major league professional logo set I've ever seen. I follow lots of graphic designers on my personal Twitter feed, and all of them are just tearing it apart. How there's issues. I won't go too deep in the weeds, but there's issues with stroke weight inconsistencies. The arch of the words Cleveland in their new font is inconsistent. It was literally, it looks like it was thrown together by a
Yeah.
very not a professional graphic design group. The only thing I did like, and just to be a little bit fair, I guess, they have a new C logo that is going to be apparently on all their hats, which is actually pretty solid. There's so many C's it used across baseball. The Cubs obviously have their iconic, very geometric C. The Reds have their C that actually is identical almost to the Chicago Bears C. There's lots of C's on hats. So, Cleveland had a C, a block C, which I was not a big fan of. It didn't look like Cleveland, didn't look like anything. It was just a standard block C. The C they released with this is actually it looks like it could have been an Indians logo of all things. But it looks very Cleveland to me. They kept the same colors. They're red and navy blue. You talk about the Guardians and the similarities between that word and Indians. It's almost like they just took off, just modified their previous identity just slightly to make it zero, give it zero possibility of being offensive to anyone. But they basically kept their same identity, just changed a couple letters around almost. But I don't know. That's clearly this is a subject dear to my heart as a professional graphic designer. I was just shocked by the timing and the kind of ham-fistedness of their release and how disappointing the name and the look of everything was. I don't know what did you think about the Guardians release?
I mean, I don't understand the timing of it. If they're waiting till in the release, it says they're waiting till December after the season to change the name. So
and to sell merchandise.
Why not just announce it after the World Series?
Yeah, why? Well, how could they not have merchandise ready to go if people are, to capitalize on the whole reason you have a team name and logo is to sell shit. So how could they not be ready with that?
The timing of the announcement is just weird. They're going to remain, unfortunately, they are still officially the Indians. So they're going to remain the Indians for the remainder of this season.
Yeah, they just don't use the term in public ways. They just, anytime they need to, they're the Cleveland baseball team, I think is what they officially are.
But they're listed as the Indians on MLB though. Like if you look at, and they're on the tickets, like for upcoming games, it's versus the Cleveland Indians. So whatever. But anyway, we know it's not going to be that anymore. But to your point, and someone pointed this out on Twitter, and I kind of went in and looked, and I think they're 100% correct. It's as if they went to the Yahoo Fantasy Football League and took their logos from that.
That's a great point.
Because it looks like the logos that Yahoo has made available to you for free.
Yeah.
To use for your fantasy football team. And that in itself sums it up perfectly, because it is just, I get the bridge. You see the stadium in the background with the bridge, but like,
is Cleveland defined by a statue on a bridge? I mean, that doesn't seem to be that big of a touchstone for a community that's 200 years old.
I mean, you have I think there's other historical relevance in Cleveland.
I heard, speculation they might be called the Municipals, which because of their municipal stadium, which is a boring name, but at least there's some connection to the baseball team. I heard one interesting idea. We've got the Washington Nationals. Well, on the National League side, why couldn't they have been the Cleveland Americans? I think there's some kind of coolness to that.
Yeah, right.
The only problem is I don't think I want the city of Cleveland representing all of America.
Nah.
It's not a place I want to go. But your point before about the different leagues, Guardians, that almost sounds like just a boring, innocuous name that could be like like an arena football team name, or one of those new football leagues that have come out in the last year or so that have come and gone, where they just have really boring, innocuous names.
Yeah, exactly.
Guardian seems perfect. Like they should be playing amateur football, basically. And the one logo that I failed to mention, I believe it's just going to be a sleeve patch, is a baseball with two G's in 3 dimensions with some wings off to the side. It is so poorly constructed. That's another sore spot for a lot of designers out there, that there's things with vanishing points and other things that they completely missed. And it looks like it's just a very amateur looking logo set. It's unreal that Cleveland would be releasing that, and that Major League Baseball would allow that to happen. But I did take the time yesterday, as I saw everything released, to reconstruct their font for their script Guardians logo that apparently will be on their home uniforms. But I reconstructed their font set and created a garbage logo in the same design that you can find. You can find a t-shirt sold at aesthetics.shop. ASSTHETICS.shop. So that's available to anyone that wants to make fun of this new logo set and team name. Garbage. That's my one word synopsis of this new release. So
Yeah. I mean, the other thing, just real quick, the other thing I took from it, like you look at those statues, it's like freaking like Lord of the Rings.
yeah, there's something weird.
It's like when they're like like this is nerd talk, but like it's like these giant king statues with swords. It's like medieval shit. It's like what are you doing?
They're gonna come to life if you say the right series of words of something. And
I mean, is that going to
save the planet?
Is that going to be MLB's dipping their toe into fictional stories? MLB Pictures presents
MLB Plus.
MLB Plus presents their first major motion picture, The Guardians,
an original production. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, maybe they are tying in with Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe it's a Disney thing.
Oh, good Lord! It's just terrible, just terrible.
Well, but I do have to thank the Indians. I'm sorry, the baseball club, now the Guardians, for giving us reason to do yet another aesthetic segment. Well, we'll see. Maybe this will be the last one for a while, but